Welcome back to sports.
A network.
I'm Scramble James,
I'm Kenny S.
and we're going to talk about the NHL and the halfway point of the season. We're going to look back at our preseason predictions, see how those predictions are lining up, and tell you which teams are awesome
Woo!
and which teams are not.
Wow, wow.
All right, let's do this. Yeah, so Colorado's winning the Western Conference. That's what we think. They're currently leading it, so that makes sense. Let's go ahead and move over to the Eastern Conference here.
Okay.
So, starting the Eastern Conference, Kenny, let's look at the Metro Division.
Yeah, let's get into the Metro Division. But it's drastically different than the Central, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we do have a couple of interesting teams that really surprised me. And I think as we get into this, I bet you'll agree. So starting out, Carolina is number one. Not surprising. I think,
Yeah.
currently they have 59 points. They're projected to have 108 points. And I had guessed them to have 110, so I'm only -2. This is
Mm-hmm.
not surprising. Carolina has had a solid team for quite a few years now, and I think they're melding really well together. I think they're right where we expected them to be, continuing their regular season domination in their division. But can they keep it up in the playoffs? I would say no. I think you're going to see a very similar routine from Carolina that you've seen the last few years. Maybe they make it to the conference finals and lose. Maybe they don't. But I just
Yeah.
don't think they have it in them to make it to the cup. And
Yeah.
again, we can dig into that deeper when we talk about the playoff stuff. Currently, they are fifth in goals for, kind of 19th. They're middle of the road in goals against. But one question I would like to ask you is, do you think this team benefits every year from having a weak division? Do you think this team is as dominant as they have been? Or do you think they're just benefiting from being on the easier side of the bracket, easier division, easier conference?
It's hard to say. I mean, their underlying stats are really good.
Yeah,
Um, so they're second in expected goals for. They are
pretty good.
first in Fenwick, and they are first in Corsi.
Pretty
So,
good.
and I mean, part of that is the style of play, right? Like that gets talked about a lot with Rod the Bod and the way that he wants his coach or he wants his team to play. But yeah, I mean, I think they certainly benefit from having a weaker division. I mean, the East is all really close right now, and
Right.
it's is everybody mediocre? Is everybody good? That's a hard
It's all
thing.
the
I mean,
NHL. They're all really good.
right, and that's also like, well, if half the league is like is very even, like
Yeah,
you're only as good as the you can only be as good as the teams you're comparing to, right? So
correct.
if the East is all pretty even, then and that's kind of league standard, then that means that the East is actually pretty good
Pretty
this
good.
year. And that's where like when you look at the data where all the teams are at, you see how far ahead Colorado is from the rest of the league.
Yeah.
And so I think Carolina is actually very good, and I think Colorado is just so much better. So I guess to answer your question, I don't think they're benefiting from being in a weak division because I don't think this year their division is weak because of the way that the season has played out. I think
Right.
that the Central that is so top heavy and those teams are so good that it makes other divisions look weak. I think the Pacific is actually weak, but I think both Eastern divisions are actually
Yeah.
pretty good.
And just to put it in perspective, if they were in the Central Division, they would currently be in fourth.
Mm-hmm.
So I just to put that in perspective. And
Which is
also
crazy.
I agree with you. I think this team could be a dark horse for the cup if they put everything together at the right time. I will say I'm a little concerned about their goaltending. Anderson currently only has 18 games played at 0.866 save percent and 3.35 goals against. That is not very good.
Yeah.
And then Brandon Bussi, who has taken over the starting spot with 19 games, he has a .904 save and a 2.28 goals against. He's quite a bit better, but does he have the pedigree? Does he have the experience to do well in the playoffs? Only time will tell.
Yeah. Boosie's a fun storyline.
Totally.
We'll see how he does. I really don't know if that's like one of those where like you've never really seen the guy before, so we'll
Right.
see how he does.
And Anderson's been their guy for so long, right? It's just yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see someone else kind of, and I say taking the helm, but he's only played one more game than Anderson, but his
Yeah.
stats are clearly better. So
Yeah. I think they are. I think they're doomed in the end with the way that the conference is
Yeah.
playing out. But I think that they're a really good team. I think that they'll excel until they hit the buzzsaw that is Tampa Bay. But
Moving right along, then, if you're good with that, we'll move
yeah,
on to honestly, this is one of the first teams that was a big surprise to me. The New York Islanders in number two, with currently with 55 points, projected to be right around 100 at the end of the season. I had predicted the Islanders to be at 86 points. I was wrong. I thought this team was going to be
yeah,
pretty bad. They had some pretty big trades last year, kind of shook things up, but the Islanders are looking much better than predicted. They've found quite a star in rookie Matthew Schaefer. He's third in points and goals and fifth in assists among rookies. And also note that they have Colin Ritchie, who's another young buck, giving them quite a bit of boost this year. I was always really impressed with his play in Colorado. So yeah, I just think that this team is young, has a lot of grit, has a superstar coach in Patrick Waugh, and I think that this team is kind of trending upwards this year. Interestingly enough, they currently have six guys out on
yeah,
IR, including Palmieri, Alexander Romanov, Bo Hovart, Varlamov, Engvall, and Bear. So this team has been plagued with injuries.
yeah.
And obviously in net with Varlamov being out for the long stretch and Sorokin actually being in and out of the net with injuries. So with all of that being said, and them being second in their division, I think that's pretty impressive.
Super impressive.
And they're starting to look like they have the building blocks for the future. And while they do have a couple holes in their roster, I think this is a super interesting young team, very similar to Chicago in the fact that they're going to be very a powerhouse, in the next 2 to 5 years.
Totally. Yeah. They're going to be fun. I'm super impressed. Patty Wild's doing a great job. There's a couple things that I think define the Islanders this year. And when Romanov got hurt and Waugh freaked out and basically was like, next time Rantanen comes to New York,
Yeah,
he better look out. That's one of them where like that the team basically was like, cool, we're not going to get messed with this year. And I
yeah.
think that
You
was an
look at it
important tone to set.
in the Marchment hit, right?
Yep. Yep. Totally. Right. And then you have the play that Kyle Palmieri made when he tore his ACL,
Hmm.
tears his ACL, gets up,
What a
skating
freak!
to the bench, steals the puck from the defender, makes a sick backhand sauce pass
Hmm.
to like set up this awesome assist, and then like that's it. He's done for the year. You
That's
know.
play of the year for me, by the way. That so far,
Yeah,
that is
I would agree with
maybe
that.
my favorite play of the entire
Yeah,
season. Just like absolutely wills this into existence.
totally. It's like that is hockey in a nutshell right there.
Yeah,
You're playing through pain. You're doing what you need to do. But I think those two moments, like basically just like and you could say the Schaefer the Marchment hit on Schaefer the other day, like those three moments. You look at this Islanders team and you say, oh, that's a team that isn't going to give up. That's a team
yeah.
that believes in each other. That's a team that's
They
fighting
got
for each
grit.
other.
They got
And,
edge. They got an old school coach. Like,
yep.
yeah,
So I'm a fan
yeah,
of what
I
they're
am
doing.
too.
So good for them. I hope they keep it up, basically.
Same. Yeah. Moving
But
right along to number three, we have Philly in third with 52 points currently, projected to have 99 points by the end of the season. I had put these guys in the bummer bin. They are our second surprise team of the division. I don't know
hmm
how the Flyers are doing it. I'll be honest. I thought this team was going to be absolute trash coming into the season, but somehow they're maintaining a position to fight for a playoff spot. This team seems to be, like I said, one of the biggest surprises this season, along with the Red Wings, also another big surprise. They're kind of middle of the road, 26th in goals against, 22nd in goals for. They're pretty scrappy team. A lot of dumping plays, a lot of forechecking. They have pretty limited offense, but tend to kind of get run over by the bigger, better teams in the league. Yeah, I would love to see them clinch a playoff spot, but honestly, I just think they'll fall a little short and not quite make it. So,
yeah,
what are your thoughts
this
on the
is
Flyers? Why do you think they're freaks
this
in
is
nature?
this is a classic Rick Tocchet team. I mean, I say
Okay.
classic. Rick Tocchet hasn't been around that long with coaching, but when you look at Vancouver that Vancouver team a couple years ago that was really
Yep.
good and had a great year. And then you look at this Philly team, you're like, oh, that's like the same exact team right there. And Dan Vladar is having a season like Demko had that year.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just this team is thriving in that system that Tocchet has created. Trevor Zegras is having a
Stellar
resurgent
year.
year. Yeah, that he's kind of playing how people thought he could play this year, and you got to credit Tocchet a little bit there for getting him to play like that. But the limiting scoring chances per game, like all of that, just screams Rick Tocchet's system works, and
Uh-huh.
he's a good coach basically. Um, but yeah, I've got to apologize to Philly, and I mean we'll get to Pittsburgh, but we said
Yeah.
Philly and Pittsburgh were going to be bad. They've been good, so congrats, Philly, Pennsylvania. You are not in the bummer bin. Are bad.
Yeah, and I just want to make a kind of side point about this division. We're moving on to the fourth team, Washington Capitals, with 52 points, but there's only 8 points separating the top five teams in this division. So it's,
Yeah,
it's pretty tightly contested, which I think is an interesting kind of, overview of all that. But moving into the
totally.
Capitals, currently with 52 points, projected at 95 points for the season. They're right about where I kind of thought they'd be. I had put them at third in the division, but again, I think this team had a pretty stellar year just based on kind of Ovechkin's year last year, and they've looked decent and obviously able to compete for a playoff spot, but clearly have kind of come back to earth a little bit from their amazing season last year. They're actually ninth in goals for, 25th in goals against. They've had pretty great goaltending in Logan Thompson. Not,
Hmm.
nothing terrible to say there. He has a 9.16 save percent and a 2.35 goals against, and that's over 32 games. So he's seen a lot more net time than some of the other attendees. But when he's out, Lindgren's only posted a .89 and a 3.13 goals against in 14 games. So he's a big piece to that puzzle, I think, and stoked to see him on Team Canada as well.
Yeah, Logan
Um,
Thompson, that is not Lindgren.
yes,
Yeah,
sorry, Logan Thompson,
yeah,
indeed.
yeah.
And
I
I
hope he's
honestly believe
Canada's
that,
main goalie. I
yeah, I
think he's
think
their
he'll be
best
the
option.
starter, if you ask me.
Yeah,
But only time will tell on that one. They have a pretty solid team. They are aging a little bit, and I don't think they quite have the players to be a contender or honestly make the playoffs this year. But yeah, we'll have to see how this all shakes out.
yeah,
What are your
I
thoughts
agree.
on Washington and the Caps and Ovechkin and
Yeah,
all that?
I agree with you on everything there. I think that they're gonna make the playoffs. They're like a good team, but they're not a contending team. I don't think Logan Thompson is sick. He's gonna carry them in the playoffs, I think, and as
Mhm.
long as he's healthy, they'll be a tough out. But I don't see them having the pieces they need to push Carolina or Tampa Bay or
Right.
these top teams in the East. I mean, I don't know. I guess I could see them getting past New York Islanders or Philly or Pittsburgh or the Devils, kind of depending on how the division goes. But I don't think they're going to beat Carolina. And then if they do beat Carolina, I don't think they're going to beat the Atlantic Division champ.
Yeah.
So yeah, but fun team,
Yeah.
fun. Ovechkin's a fun
Yeah.
storyline. So
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious how much longer he's going to be playing, and yeah,
he's
sad.
about
Yeah.
he's about to put up 20 goals again. So you know
What a freak.
like it's like like dude, as long as you're doing that, you still can play in the NHL. So if you want,
And moving on to our fifth spot, also our third great surprise, we have Pittsburgh, the Penguins, with 51 points, projected at 97 points at the end of the year. Another team, I had them at the bottom of the division. They are absolutely surprising me at every turn. They're playing well above what we had predicted coming into the season. I would love to see the Penguins get a playoff spot and see Sid the Kid play in the playoffs. They
totally.
seem to be firing on all cylinders. Sid's having kind of a resurgence year this year, right around 90 or right around 100 points for the season. I think he's on pace for 96 currently, but yeah, who knows where he'll end
Yeah,
up. They have the third best power play in the league, which I thought was kind of surprising. And some of the issues that they're running into is just defensive and goaltending inconsistencies, also having a bottom six that's not really moving the needle, right? Like most of their production's coming from the top line, top six guys.
Yeah.
And they're also one of the slowest teams in the NHL, which I thought was
Oh,
surprising.
interesting.
They're actually getting beat to pucks quite a bit and just a little bit out hustled. So,
Yeah.
in an NHL that's faster than ever, I think we're seeing that speed is the great equalizer. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Pittsburgh, I'm pulling for you. Go Sid. Come on, Malkin.
yeah,
I want to see.
yeah.
I, I want to see Skinner outperform Jari.
I would love to see that.
That's just the hater in me. But yeah, so yeah, I'm stoked that Pittsburgh is doing okay, and good to see that Sid might make the playoffs again. I think the league is in a better position if he's in the playoffs, just
Yeah,
from a marketing standpoint and a watchability standpoint. So we'll see how they continue. It's wild their power play is so good. Like how cool. But that's also like you got Sid running it and you got,
right.
Carlson in the back and Malkin there. So, it's like they have just super dangerous pieces. So it's not shocking necessarily, but I would say surprising still that it's so good. Um,
Yeah. And also just super excited to see Sid play with McDavid and McKinnon and McCaw
yeah,
and
let's
Taves
go.
and like let's go Team Canada.
Yeah, yeah,
So I always just have to throw that in there because he's the captain. So yeah.
yeah. It's going to be fun.
All right. Well, moving right along to number six, we have the New Jersey Devils, 46 point tied, I guess tied for sixth with the Rangers in 46 points. I'll talk about the Devils first. They're projected to hit about 86 points this season. And yeah, I actually predicted them to be way better than they are, and they're just not. Not that good. I
Yeah,
think this team has looked bad since the outset. I don't think there's really been a time where I'm like, oh, this team could have it. Goaltending needs to be a bit better. I think they're kind of struggling from the Jekyll and Hyde, where Allen in that he does have a 9.11 save percent with 2.61 goals against over 23 games, but then you have Markstrom, who I believe they were hoping would settle things down a little bit. He has
yeah.
a .878 save percentage and 3.48 goals against in 22 games. So,
Yeah, you sorry to jump in. You were looking at that January 6th game where the Islanders beat them 9-0.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
That's what you were thinking about.
That's pretty tough.
That's heinous.
uh, but hey, go Islanders, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yes, so.
I think this
Uh,
team, they just have some major holes in the roster, especially in defense. They are not helping their goalies at all. Again, I had
yeah.
expected a little bit more out of this team, just kind of looking at how they finished the season last season. But again, I would not expect them to make the playoffs. Yeah, they're just not looking too good.
It felt like they were doing all right and they were like in a decent position until Jack Hughes cut his hand
Yeah,
and went through that and then they just fell off a cliff and sometimes when stuff like that happens it just absolutely destroys your confidence and morale as a team and then you forget how you were playing and how the system was working and it
right.
just like blows up everything and I think they're in the throes of that so you know we'll see if they can basically get it back together. The Olympic break might be good for them. That they might be a
Totally.
team that like comes out of the Olympics playing really really well and kind of turning it around. But yeah, tough, tough. That Hughes injury was real tough for them. And then yeah, they just have been on a slide ever since. So I'm honestly not that sad. I don't really like the Devils
Yeah.
as a franchise. But sorry Devils fans, but I'm not rooting for you. So we'll see how you do. I don't think you're that good either.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah.
they definitely have quite a bit of work to do.
But they're one of
Um,
the few teams that have beat the Avs in
yeah,
overtime.
true,
But
true.
so
Yeah.
gotta tip my cap to you a little bit there.
To be fair, any team can beat the Avs in overtime. We tend to be really terrible
If
in
they
those
can get it
moments.
to overtime.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Um, Moving right along, the other team tied for sixth is the New York Rangers, 46 points. I expected them to do quite a bit better. They're projected to hit 82 points this season. I had projected them at 97, so quite a bit lower than I thought. You know, the Rangers have not looked very good this season, and especially at home. I think that's kind of the big storyline for them. if you're not able to win on home ice, that's troubling. Shesterkin still playing at an elite level, but kind of took a step back from that like godlike level before his big signing last year. He's posting a .913 save percent, 11th amongst goalies with more than 10 games, 2.45. Those are great numbers, but again, Shesterkin
Mhm.
was the premier goalie and signed the biggest goalie contract in NHL history. So I think you'd expect a little bit more from him. They have a solid core, but just can't quite put it together every night. Very inconsistent play. The defensive core has been weak, especially with Fox dealing with injuries this season. And and I think you called it at the beginning of the season. Adams Fox just hasn't quite looked like he had in previous years, and maybe kind
Yeah.
of on the decline. Um,
Yeah.
and they have a good
And
power play at 12th in the league. Sorry, I'll finish this
uh,
thought and then pass it over
yeah.
to you. And 22.1% power play and converting, and so basically they're pretty below average just on their 5-on-5 play.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say Adam Fox got snubbed from the Olympics because of that,
Yep.
basically. So yeah, the Rangers are not good. They're not a good team. Shesterkin was actually covering a lot, even though he was more average.
Yeah.
And like he got hurt against Utah on the fifth, and they played 2 games since then, and they lost 5-2 and 10-2. So if that's how the rest of the season is going to go, they're they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah. And I don't
And
think I wasn't trying to make the point that Shesterkin is playing bad. I mean, and I think the decline in his numbers you could probably contribute it all to their defensive play in front of him. I think
yeah,
he's probably the only thing holding him into some of these games.
yeah,
But I think that's just part of the story though, right? It's a team game.
right,
Can't just have one
right,
player that's the best. It doesn't work that way.
totally, totally, yeah, I agree with that. So we'll see. I think they're going to be in rough shape the rest of the
Yeah.
year.
And then I'll just keep it moving right on down to Columbus. They currently have 43 points, projected at 80 points for the season. I had guessed 90, kind of middle of the road, but they are not producing. So this team's looked pretty terrible in the first half of the season. While they've had some interesting, they have some interesting prospects. They don't really have a lot of veterans or like a veteran safety net to kind of keep them in
Hmm.
games. They have pretty poor zone defense, allowing a lot of odd man rushes. And interesting enough, Jet Graves is posting a .907 save percentage, 2.74 goals against in 30 games, which is not too bad for the team that's playing in front of him and where they are in the standings. I think they do have one of the worst PKs in the league at
Yeah,
29. So they're obviously getting scored on a bunch there. And they're also dealing with quite a few injuries. I think somewhere right around the 5 injuries currently. And this team just has too many gaps on their roster. Management has been pretty bad historically. And,
yeah,
we'll just see where they end the season. But I wouldn't be surprised if they finish right about where they are, which is dead last in the division.
yeah. It's a bummer for them. That
Yep.
I was kind of hoping they'd take the next step, and they aren't. And it's really a bummer for Zach Werenski. I mean, he's
Yep.
second in the league in points, and he's scoring. He's leading the league in goals for defensemen, and so they just don't like everything you said. They just don't have it. They don't have the full team. They don't have any real depth. That Werenski's kind of their guy, and they're not getting great goaltending. So
Right.
you know,
So
bummer for
yeah, I guess
Columbus.
that kind of wraps up the Metro division. Overall, I think this is one of the weaker divisions in hockey right now, but they do have some standout teams in Carolina and honestly the Islanders, who have been a great surprise. So yeah, we'll just kind of see how that moves forward over
Yeah.
the second half of the season. And let's go ahead and take a look at our final division, the Atlantic. And yeah, I'll hand it over to you.
All right. The Atlantic Division. Here we go. So right now, we've got Detroit in first place, kind of just because they've played more games than Tampa, really. But Detroit's at 58 points. They're playing good hockey. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. They dominated Montreal last night. They've got overall a +3 goal differential, but they're one of those teams that's slightly underwater in most advanced stats. Their power play is at 24.7%, so that's really what's getting them through. That's sixth in the NHL. And then they've got Lucas Raymond having a great year, leading in points at 48. And then DeBrincat and Larkin are tied for leading in goals with 23. and they've been getting pretty acceptable goaltending. Gibson has a 902, Talbot has an 888. Like 888 is not great, but 902 is like pretty average. So, they're one of those teams where if the goalies really pick it up, they'll be awesome. But yeah, I like seeing that Detroit took a step forward. Pretty fun.
Yeah, I think this team was a pretty big surprise to me. I thought they were going to be in the bummer bin this year, and yeah, surprising to see them at the top of the division. But I honestly don't think that that's how this season's going to end. So
Yeah, I thought they were gonna be 5th at or 6th at the beginning of the year, and so they are projected to be 20 points better than what I thought they would be. So I was way off. I definitely thought they were not gonna be good, but they've done it. They put it together, so I'm stoked for them. But that leads us to Tampa, who is 9-1-0 in their
whew,
last 10. They've won 9 in a row. They are just looking really good right now. Their goal differential is plus 39, which is second best in the league to the Abs. They're third in expected goals percentage for. They're sixth in Corsi, sixth in Fenwick. Their PK is at sixth at 83.1. And it's just basically like this team is really good in every metric, essentially. Their power play has been very mid, but other than that, they're really good. Kucherov is having a great year. He's third overall with 65 points. Or sorry, fourth overall with 65 points. Celebrini, McDavid, and McKinnon ahead of
yeah,
him. And the next closest on their team is 20 points back of that, which is Jake Gensel at 45. Little shout out to Radish on their D line. He's having a
yeah,
great year. He's sixth in points with 37, and with Hedman being out, that he's really stepping up.
he had an incredible
So
game against the Avalanche when they beat us.
totally, yeah,
Yeah,
gnarly, kind of very tough, vicious guy.
yeah,
And then Vasilevsky's at 913, right where you would expect Vasi to be. I mean, he's having a good year. And then Johansson is doing just enough at the backup position. So I think when this team gets Hedman back and
yeah.
and all their guys back, I mean, when this team is healthy, they're going to be a total buzzsaw. They look awesome. You got thoughts?
No, this team's trouble. So I have to say, I'm glad they're on
Yeah.
the other side of the bracket, and see you guys in the Cup Finals. That's all I have to
Yeah,
say.
I think so. The For projections, Tampa's projected to have 109 points at the end, which is two under what I thought they'd have.
Wow.
I projected them at 111 at the beginning of the season, so pretty on it with that. Third place right now is Montreal, which is awesome to see. I thought Montreal would take a step forward. It's really fun to see them do it. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10. They've only got a plus 3 goal differential, and their advanced stats are mostly underwater. Their power play, though, is 10th in the league at 22.5%. So that's kind of helping push them along. Nick Suzuki's awesome. He's leading the team with 48
Mm,
points. Cole Caulfield is awesome. He's got 21 goals. And they have 6 double-digit goal scorers on their
wow.
team. And then Demidov is leading the in rookie points, so he's crushing. And then they got this other rookie, Kapanen, who's leading in rookie goals. So, and then Lane Hudson is third in D points. So they have all these young guys that are just really stepping up and really taking a step forward and
Yeah, you
crushing.
love to see that. The next
Totally,
generation is prime right now.
totally. And good to see consistency too. Like
Yeah.
Hudson is a sick again. Caulfield is good again, and Demidov is looking how you thought he would look after his year last year at the end.
Mhm.
The problem for Montreal is their goaltending has been awful. Montembeault has
Yeah.
8.69, and Dobas has a 8.89. They started giving some games to this rookie Jacob Fowler recently, and he's got a 908 in 9 games with one shutout, but that's very limited sample size. So I think Montreal is really like if they're going to compete, they need goaltending to be better, and that's kind of a classic tale, right?
Yeah, I would look for Montreal to go out and try to get a goaltender before the trade deadline. I think from what I've seen, I think I watched Fowler, one of Fowler's games, and he looked great. But I don't know if that's you know looking. I don't know if you
Yeah,
want to hang your hat on that and be like, well, he's good enough for the playoffs with
right,
that super small sample size. So yeah,
right.
just I would I wouldn't count this team out if they do somehow come across a goalie. I'd be looking for them to be a little bit of a dark horse. So.
Yeah, and we'll see, on if they hold tight with their guys because Montembeault and Dovis are both and Fowler are all super young, so
Yeah,
they might just say, "We're standing pat and investing in the future. We think these are the guys." But they might also flip one of them and try to get a more
yeah.
established veteran. So, interesting trade deadline thought. And then moving on to Buffalo. Buffalo's got 52 points right now. Buffalo is on a tear. They've won 13 of 14.
Wow.
They're 9-1 in their last 10. And they have a +6 goal differential. Their goals for percentage, their expected goals for percentage is right at like 50. It's 50.58. And then they're slightly underwater in Fenwick and Corsi, but they're second in PK. So the PK has been great for them. They're at 85.5%. Tage Thompson has really stepped up. He's at 41 points with 22 goals. And then Alex Tuck and Rasmus Dahlin are also kind of right there leading the way with Thompson. And then their goalies are, they're getting a 900 or above from their goalies. Alex Lyon has the slight edge in save percentage at 906, and he's played more games. So you got to think like Buffalo maybe started to get some chemistry and some
Yeah.
momentum and are putting it together. Like good on them. Yeah, they're if they hold this pace, they'll beat my prediction by 30 points.
Whew.
I had them at 69 points
Yeah.
at the beginning, and they're projected to get 99. So that's like my biggest one that I missed is Buffalo if they hold. You got any thoughts on Buffalo?
Oh, just that I don't like Buffalo, and it's not because of the players. I just don't like their organization or management. Personally, I don't like some of the moves they've done in the past, and I think they've restructured some of that since.
Yeah,
But so they're also one of those teams I kind of always secretly root against.
yeah.
But
This year is an entirely new management structure for them.
good, good. But yeah, that's crazy. 13 to 14. Whew, yeah, I
I
don't
I
necessarily see them making the playoffs, but it's interesting to see them taking a step because they've kind of been in the bummer bin for a while.
Yeah. If they hold on course, they're currently projected to get a wild card spot, which
Nice,
would be wild. I didn't
indeed.
look this up, but Darlene's like had to take a leave of absence from the team earlier on. I
Uh-huh.
think to go
I
care for
remember
his
hearing that.
fiance or wife. I can't remember, but I wonder if they started playing good when he came back, or if there's some
Oh, okay.
correlation to like him coming back and there being some sort of bonding with like amongst them around that kind of traumatic
Yeah.
experience, right? Yeah, moving on to Toronto. Oh, Toronto fans are pissed. Toronto is 7-1-2 in their last 10. So they're putting it together. They got a +8 goal differential, but they are bad in expected goals for. They're bad in Corsi. They're bad in Fenwick. Their PK is third at 85.3, so that's a huge boost for them. And then Nylander, Wild Bill Nylander, he's leading the team with 44 points. Austin Matthews is starting to kind of put it together. He's got 21 goals now, and he's got 7 in his last 7 games. Granted, 5 of those goals were in 2 games, so Johnny Tavares is awesome. He's got 40 points. So, but then Toronto, their bright spot has been their goaltending. Joseph Wall has a 921. Hildeby, who's kind of a resurgent or not resurgent, newcomer to the block. He's at a 916. And then Stolarz was bad and then he got hurt in November. So it's kind of like, will they even have Stolarz come back
Right.
with Hildeby playing the way he is and Wall playing the way he is? It's like
Yeah, I
they
mean,
look
those
pretty
numbers
good.
look great. Always
Totally.
been a fan of Wall. I think he's a great goalie. Some of this is Toronto's own doing. You get rid of one of your best players, I don't think you're going to be as good as you used to be. And I think it shows kind
Yeah.
of. I think I think this kind of shows where Matthews sits without Mitch Marner. Yeah, I don't think he's as good without him. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I have to say about
Yeah.
Toronto.
They didn't bring in the playmaking or they
Right.
didn't bring in the offensive ability when Marner left. And I mean, it's hard to bring in that ability. That's why you pay your top offensive
Yeah.
guys 10 over $10 million a year.
I just find it interesting
But
that the Toronto fan base, really tried to blame Marner for all that, but then he leaves. Your team's not doing as good, and Marner's doing absolutely great in Vegas. So I don't
yeah,
necessarily know if it was him or not. Yeah, only time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it was him. I think Toronto just blew it, but
Yeah.
that's the way it goes. Moving on, we've got Boston at 50 points. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10. They've got a +5 goal differential. And yeah, they just put up 10 on New York
Ooh,
last night. So that's crazy. Their expected goals for is bad. Their
ooh, that's
Corsi
real
and
bad.
yeah, they're at 46.18%. Their Corsi and Fenwick are pretty even. They're at 49%, so a little underwater. But their power play is real good. Their power play is at 25.8. Pastrnak is seventh in the NHL in points with 55. He's leading the team. And then Morgan Geekie is having a breakout year. He's got 25 goals. And then they also have this rookie, Fraser Minton, who's got 10 goals, which is good for fourth among rookies.
Nice.
Yeah, so Boston is doing pretty well. They're outperforming my prediction currently, and if they hold this pace, they'll outperform my prediction by 13 points. So I thought they were going
Okay.
to be bad, and they're like pretty decent.
Yeah,
The
they have a
thing that would,
super solid base
yeah,
to build on, and I think, yeah, I think this team's pretty interesting in the next couple years.
yeah, I think that's what's come out this year. I didn't think they did. I thought they just had a couple solid pieces with Pasternak
Yeah,
and Charlie McAvoy, but yeah, they're. It looks like they got a core,
and
so that's
McAvoy was
cool.
hurt for a while, right? He took that
Yeah,
puck to the face, essentially. Whew,
yeah, his tooth
poor
flies
guy.
out,
That's fucking brutal. Uh,
gnarly.
so
Yeah.
all that to be said, that
The,
they were missing one of their best players. So
Totally. The one area for them that it could be better is goaltending. Swayman's only got a
yeah,
903, and you expect more from Swayman. You signed him
yeah,
to a
agreed.
big money contract. That guy's got to be putting up a 910 or higher, and that's what's going to make this team move into the playoffs. But if Swayman's just posting a 900 or right there around, this team is not going to make the playoffs. That's not how they're constructed.
No,
Moving right along to Florida. Florida's got 49 points. They're 4-5-1 in their last 10 and got a -7 goal differential. Their underlyings are not that bad. They're
yeah,
above water and expected goals for in Corsi and Fenwick. They're fifth on the PK at 83.6%. This is just the story of injuries. Barkov's out for the year. Kachuk hasn't played. Seth Jones just got put on the IR.
oh
Thomas
dang,
Nosek is out. I mean, they've just been super hurt and to
yeah,
huge guys, you know. So, and then Marchand is having a huge year, leading the team with 46 points, and he's tied for the lead in goals with Reinhardt at 23. But yeah, Marchand, Reinhardt, and Bennett have been awesome. But Bobrovsky has not been awesome. He's been bad
no,
and
yeah.
has an 881 save percentage. So, you know, if Bob's going to play like that and they're super injured, this team is really going to struggle. So we'll see if they can put it together. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go on a big streak and get back in. You can never count these guys out, I think.
Yeah, and especially, Bobrovsky, that guy, if he flips the switch, this team could very much be on a tear for the second half of the season. Um, I
Totally.
I I think it's sad, these a lot of these guys took a little bit smaller contracts to play together. I thought this team was going to be a huge contender this year, but like you said, it's just a story of injuries. Tough hockey story there.
Yeah, totally. We'll see as people come back if they can put it together. But well, yeah, never count them out. But it's looking bleak for Florida. And then the last place team in the Atlantic is Ottawa. They got 45 points.
Boo.
Yeah, they're a bunch of
Sorry,
rats.
I don't
No,
like the way they play hockey.
yeah, their analytics are actually pretty good. They're above water in all of the expected goals for percentage and Corsi percentage in Fenwick. Their power play is eighth in the league. But yeah, they're lame.
Yep.
I don't like these guys. They've gotten terrible goaltending. Olmark has an 881 and is on a personal leave of
Hmm.
absence and he left the team in late December. And then Marilinen has been really bad as at an 866. So it's been a bummer for them, but they're lame and a bunch of babies. That's what I got to say about that. So, but yeah, I would have been 12 points off my Ottawa prediction if they hold
Oh, okay.
pace. Florida, obviously, I was off on my prediction because they
Yeah.
got so hurt. So,
Yeah.
but so yeah, so that is wraps up the Atlantic. If the current kind of trajectory holds, Tampa would actually win this division with Detroit and Montreal kind of following them. Let's look at the playoff picture for the East.
Yeah.
Eastern Conference, seeded 1 through 8. Tampa's your 1, Carolina's your 2, Detroit's your 3, Montreal's your 4. The Islanders are your 5, Philly's your 6, and Buffalo is your 7, and Pittsburgh is your 8, which sets up a first round matchup of Tampa versus Pittsburgh, Carolina versus Buffalo, Detroit versus Montreal, and New York Islanders versus Philadelphia. Who do you got in
Woo.
those matchups?
I mean, I think Tampa destroys Pittsburgh. That they are the tough team to get through on that side of the bracket. Carolina beats Buffalo with no problem. I don't think
Yep.
either of those series even go 7 games, let alone 6. I think the Detroit Montreal matchup will be interesting, but I would honestly take Montreal over Detroit
Yeah.
and then go Isles. Right? I'm rooting for the Islanders on that side of the bracket if I had to pick a team. So I'm going to stick with them to beat Philly. And
Yeah. I think I
then
agree with you on everything except for I'm going to pick Detroit over Montreal.
nice.
Just I think that one's a toss up, and
I
I
agree.
don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like Detroit is really fun. I don't know. Montreal's really fun too. I think that series will be awesome,
Yeah. I
basically.
think that's definitely going to be the best series of that first round. And then I'm going to
Yeah.
take Tampa over Carolina, no problem.
Well,
Uh,
so the next, if Tampa wins, then Tampa would
oh, plays
play the
Detroit or
winner of
Montreal.
Detroit or Montreal. So
That
let's go with
does not change my prediction.
right. Yeah,
Tampa wins.
yeah.
Whoever they play.
Tampa's winning over Detroit or Montreal, whoever
Yeah.
advances out of that, and then
And then I'll
Carolina would play the Islanders.
I'll take the Islanders over Carolina.
Oh, that
Big
would be an upset.
yeah, that would be a big shakeup, but
Yeah,
I think they could do it. I think they got the grit. I think they got some players. I think obviously they're going to have a little bit of puck luck and some things go their way. But hey,
yeah.
uh,
I'm gonna
oh,
pick a different here. I'm gonna pick Carolina. I'm gonna be boring. I'm gonna
that's all
pick
right.
Carolina to go, but I don't think it changes who we think is actually going to win the East
Yeah,
at all.
yeah,
I think our overall East winner is still the same
is Tampa. Yeah,
too.
and I think that honestly, I think if that series happens, Tampa versus Carolina, I think that will be a grinder of a series, and I think that will
Yeah,
be a great series to watch. Then I guess that puts a little bit of a rematch on for uh for the cup. Yeah, we would have
yeah,
Tampa Bay versus the Avalanche.
yep,
This time with the Avalanche having home ice advantage.
yep,
So we beat them in 6 or 5.
yeah. We had home ice last time, and we
Oh,
beat them in
okay.
6. We beat them in Tampa Bay in 6. But I think we beat them in 6 again. um, I like I that's who I picked at the beginning.
Yeah,
I picked Tampa and Colorado to play, and for it to be a rematch, and I picked for a Colorado to beat Tampa. I think it could go, 5. It could go 6. It could go 7. I'm gonna say that it goes 6 again. I don't know. I think Colorado is just the best team, but I think Tampa is good enough to take a couple games off them. I mean, they just beat them,
yeah,
so Tampa can beat them. This is obviously assuming health, but
right.
yeah, I think Tampa's out of the East. I'd be shocked if they were healthy and couldn't put it together, especially if Florida's not there.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think Colorado out of the West, and Colorado's going to win, and we're going to joyously exclaim and
Oh,
celebrate.
I can't wait.
but it's a long season. There's lots of hockey
Yeah,
to be played.
lots of
So
hockey left. These are just predictions, not anything set in stone. So yeah, I
yeah,
hope you guys enjoyed our mid-season wrap up, comparing our predictions to what is currently happening in the league. Um,
yeah, it's been great. My name's Scramble James,
I'm Kenny S. Like and
and
subscribe, follow if you want to support the channel.
yep,
And look forward to our Olympic special edition episode coming possibly next month, maybe the month after. We will see. Thank you.
right on, everybody. Have a good one.
Cheers.